of him being aggressive, of getting those opening kills. But as Gig said, we have a tendency to throw away these small advantages we build for ourselves in these rounds. And this is the last chance saloon, boys. You cannot afford to make any more mistakes. This needs to be flawless, or you've thrown away the best chance you have to establish yourselves as the best team in the region. And let's not forget, Fnatic recently moving into this region, they moved from South Asia. APAC North became the new prime-time location of the region, and everyone thought we'd see them here in the top 3. It's 2 different names here, and Cloud9, a region, or from a country, I should say, Korea, that many would write off and say, not really that good, hyper-aggressive, might see them do something every once in a blue moon, but that's about it. They are in a great chance to say, we saw Fnatic play at SI, we saw what they can do, now we're showing we are better than them, and everyone best start fearing us on the international stage.
Goyo gone, alongside obviously the Thatcher and the Hibana. Standard bans for a map where, well, to be fair, Standard has been reset and otherwise completely redefined by Cloud9, who have really showed up in force today. Giants, statistically, their day was supposed to be a quick one. And unfortunately for them, it's either going to be a quick one or it's going to be a very long one. And I guess it's just seeing how the rest of this boils down. This is their turning point. This is their possibility and chance at redemption in a series where they really shouldn't be fighting so low to the ground.
So low to the ground or so close to defeat. Either way, things aren't looking too great in the Giants camp. And we mentioned briefly what the mentality must be like right now. How broken you must feel that you've come to a map at the start. We said how pivotal Villa was going to be. If Giants take it, there's a lot of belief. If they lose it, then suddenly it's like, well, if Cloud9 has been hiding this all season, we assume they hated these 3 maps, or were they saving them for such a prime opportunity like this? So, Clubhouse, one of my favorite maps. Love seeing what teams do on this map, namely down to things like the current strategy you're about to see employed. Church and Arsenal in the basement, we are going to see the SSG roam being brought out, although not in full form. There is no Vigil on side. Instead, a couple of crucial changes being made here. You're going to see the Capcan come out as the kind of trap-based operator that slows down the rushes into the site. And interestingly, one that I don't think I've ever seen before as part of this lineup is going to be that Echo.
Yeah, I guess obviously seeing where they decide to set themselves up, we can, you know, it's the Echo, you'd want them on the site. They could throw the drones externally and have them as just secret filters of information to the roam game of Giants, but when you're also building and working around the Mozzie, you have all this intel, you have the stretch, you have everything that you need to bring it all together. I think the Echo could just be, you know, it's like a fun, tasty little addition because of its unexpected nature. Think how unexpected this defense was when it was introduced. This map was a game and a play space of little tweaks, little changes, little, ooh, this is my, how my mother used to make it. Delicious adaptation. Could Echo be another one of those?
The one thing we have to remember about Cloud9 is that this is somewhat of a new roster. Back in early March, Harper and Shyle both joined them. They are a team reborn, and then we kicked our way into the new stage. We kicked our way into stage 1 of APAC North. And everyone for a while was like, it's this way we always remember Cloud9. They don't really stand up. They don't really make themselves heard. It's the same players going big. Envy Taylor had a lot of brilliant games. And then Shyle really starts finding his form and performing to the level that we have seen him do consistently, being one of the top fraggers and one of the top entries for the team. And let's not forget, look at Rogue. They're in a very similar spot back in Europe. They brought a few players in. It took a few weeks to adapt, even maybe a few months to really get to the level that we wanted to see them at. And now they're looking like one of the strongest in Europe. Cloud9 could be on that same incline that we have just seen Rogue go through, and they will become the team to beat if they can close this out.
Well, here's the Echo drones I talked about and where they might be used. This is a way. Have them on the roam. Have them on the cover and protection of the bodies working above. Actually hitting the Monty or close by enough to cause an effect, and that's going to force Monty down to oil pit. Not really forced, to be fair. They saw the possibility of oil and they went, all right then, let's go down there. If we can apply some pressure directly to the site, it might force that top floor roam game out of position, and well, things like this happen. Envy Taylor gets the opener against Hysterics.
Oh, weird for Hysterics to be there, playing kind of the role you would see a Vigil in normally, holding the ground floor, making it safe for the others to drop down around him and retreat back to the site, but being picked up early on, that now makes it a very treacherous drop for the Mute and the Mozzie. And they've said, forget about the top floor. We know there's still 2 of you upstairs, so let's just go for a straight push through blue. You can hear that proximity alarm singing. They know that there's quite a few around them. They know where the Echo drone is and saying, please deal with this first. Blasting away the Monty, but the kills come in for Cloud9. 4 versus 2. They are in sight. They are in enemy territory. However, they are making it their own incredibly quickly. One comes back from Ysera. It's not the end of the world, but this plant is going down behind the Monty, and now all they've got to do is stand guard with the iron will and say no one will push us out. It's only Ysera left, going to challenge onto the Monty who's challenging him, and all too easy for Sweet Black. Gonna harp on this guy again today. He has really stepped up after the criticisms we've seen of him in the main season of being the weaker member of the side, throwing away some crucial rounds. What a day he is having.
And unfortunately for Giants, yeah, it's really just coming together for Cloud9. You look at obviously this map being the Giants' pick. So C9 say, well, we want to start on attack. There are not many teams that opt to start on attack on Clubhouse. M&M or ex-M&M were one of the ones where they used to
Team Crazy, yeah.
It.
I remember asking them about this, and they said, you know, it's because we feel confident we can take 3 rounds, and then we go into the second half, the other team's then sweating, thinking, oh my God, how do we get the match of this a 3-3? Or we're going to lose. Like, what's going on? It just plays in the mindset massively.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, again, when you're looking at the mindset. A church take, they tried a tall defense, it was red, pitch perfect by C9, and they were able to just find their way via blue straight in, led by Sweet Black on the Monty, an operator who has his praises sung a lot for this region. But for me, we haven't seen Stretch too well today. It hasn't been the big make or break that it can be and has historically been before. I guess progressing and going forward from this, you're thinking, okay, well, that's a strong opener. That's a really good first play for the man. Where do they go from here? And do we get a response from the side of Giants?
I'll tell you where they do go. They go up to CCTV on the top floor. In terms of lineup coming out, it's sharing some similarities. That Mozzie coming out from Luna. Normally an operator I'd associate with MV Taylor currently on the other side. That Monty's making a return. This is some bittersweet karma, I think, for the side of Giants. At the very start of the season when they played, I believe it was clubbed 4 times in the opening 3 days, they would often bring the Monty out and they would outright bully people. Luna would lead the charge, mainly through Garage for a site like this, and just make the other side sweat. They'd be so uncomfortable knowing that Luna was staring them down. Hysterics lurking nearby, ready to capitalize off the aggression. Here, they're starting to feel the same coming out of someone like Sweet Black with Shyle or MV Taylor playing in close support.
Blowing open Garage. For all of the times we see this site across all of the different regions, the recipe is still the same. You know how you want to break your way through onto this, and you know how you want to take it. The Monty's going to try and apply the pressure onto Garage here, wants it to be shot so they don't drop shields, because the second they do, you know there's going to be an eye on the second story railings and rackings, looking to, well, rack them full of bullets. It's Speakeasy playing the Wamai role. They're going to be able to stem and just hold the tide for a period of time. I like the disc above the door that could bait the push, but Monty doesn't have to go anywhere right now. They're just going to try and steadily work away on the hard walls, get it popped open, and then see if they can pop on anyone on the back of the site. But look at the roam just underneath. That could be a bit of a close down here on the connection towards the top of the blue stairs. Where is that going to go?
Looking at storage. Yeah, I can't imagine as a Smoke you're too keen to go trying to challenge that anytime soon, but being able to play back downstairs if required. He has those stairs to fall back onto. No one's bothered even smashing out the window just yet. Hysterics doing Hysterics things. They now know that he is downstairs, so he is going to have to rotate himself away. Does have some support from the Smoke, and Charles dropping down, so I think to try and contest him as he pushes up and through, and there it is. He caught Ysera, actually, of all people. So the Smoke did swing out for some cover, but couldn't do enough. Speakeasy inside a garage, playing on the Wamai here. Can he get a second? Goes to the spray. He will take it, diffuser and all. 2 kills, and with the Monty gone, almost a third as well, actually. Did get the finish off onto Harper, I think. Then MV Taylor, Captain Glenn, steps up and bounces back. That's Luna, actually. I have no idea why I'm saying Glenn for that team.
It's all right. It's been a long, chaotic game, and I guess anything was to be predicted, even the rosters. Here comes the pressure onto the site doors itself. They're a bit split and a bit separated, but C9 have the body count, and they're going to make sure that they double down on that with the double from Shayal. Now, then, Hysterics, a man we have put on a high pedestal, is going to open it with a great flick there. Saw the read and knows there's a beat behind him. Concerned, but with the soft wall, the pop comes out, and that does not falter his aim. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything for Shiles either, and he's able to find the second attack round in a row.
We literally sat here and said if 3 rounds go the way of the attackers, that is a cataclysmic error from the defenders and Giants in these last couple of rounds. It has not looked pretty. Even with the excellent hold coming out of the Wamai inside a garage, dealing with the Monty and then the second aggressor of the Maverick, leaving the diffuser cold, dead on the ground. They still go on to lose the round. It's painful. So painful to observe, and I feel for these boys, given this again is their home turf. This is where they've looked the strongest. You would think, coming into it, being on the defensive side, on the home map, you would see Giants flourish. But the last couple of rounds, they've done anything but.
CCTV and Cash, doubling down and seeing if they can make it tick once again. Envy Taylor's going to swap out to the Capitao, potentially to put more pressure on the Wumai position, held previously before, but obviously that is your counter. So you can't play that too cavalier, otherwise you'll find yourself cooked. Luna is going to be playing the Valkyrie, hasn't been able to find their way into this game as of yet. Again, they've had a bit of a mixed season, sometimes hit over this tournament, but otherwise, unfortunately, a bit of a miss. They need to try and find just that edge today, as we said, because that is for sure been missing across the entire team. But unfortunately for them, the players that haven't been as powerful historically for C9 have had a really, really good showing across this tournament, and especially today in the game of games to make everything count.
It plays out the same way as Villa, because looking back at the history of playing this map, there is a lot for Cloud9 to research and look into how they play things, what it is that they're opting to do when they're on the attacking side as well as on the defense, and ultimately what their weaknesses are. The only time we have seen the side of Giants lose on this map was actually just the other day in that best-of-3 against Xavier. They lost it 7-8. So there are clearly weaknesses in there that Cloud9 have sat down and looked at and gone, right, here's what we need to do to dismantle these boys. And this is the issue with coming to maps that you think, oh, well, we've played it a ton, we know we're good on it, we're just fine. And this team has never played it. Clearly they hate it, they have no idea what they're doing on it. It actually seems to have worked in reverse, where all the intel sits with Cloud9, and Giants are the ones left wondering, what on earth are they actually going to do to us? And I don't think they'd have anticipated seeing a Monty being brought out the way that it has so many rounds in a row. Capitao also being brought along in this round. This could get really uncomfortable very quickly.
Hysterics on the wide roam, joined by Luna this time. They've set themselves a far and wide pace as Luna dances via strip to see if they can potentially get the run out on anyone working away on the big double walls of Garage. There is a Maverick not too far away, but there is a camera thrown. Gives them the eye, gives them the beat of the pulse. Nobody's there as of yet they can see. There is one either side and they seem slightly aware, but they're not the most concerned. And there goes the run out, there goes the chance. There's an MPX, which is tough at that range for anybody. They're aware. Well aware. It's the timing that's going to win this.
Oh!
And it goes for Luna.
Luna with a great one. With MPX, as we all know, not really the best gun for these kind of range fights or for doing any damage at, well, any range. But finding a headshot still guarantees that the thermite of all has gone down. We spoke about this in the last map, Fluke, around the damage that can be done if you lose these hard breaches earlier on, or the key operators that you need on side. That should probably mean that this wall stays closed for now, because I can't imagine Nova has enough fuel to be able to open up everything they need here. The two garage walls, as well as CCTV wall, at least one will stay shut. Envy finding a trade back onto Speakeasy, a very late trade at that. He is then instantly caught out again by Luna. Like we keep on saying, the back and forth between these two teams, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we wanted Luna to show up, and luckily he's living up to his name and coming in astronomically. Now it's Monty who's got control of the second story, and he's looking to apply this cross pressure. They have the big opening, and they're going to try and use the very small opening to get the ankles of a man who's just a bit out of range inside Cash. Sophia's going to pop over the shoulder of Jordan, who's had to pull back with Hysterics rotating all the way back round to site. Luna is actually re-barricading doors so they can funnel and control all of the pressure. They'll have the intel and the information if they try to go for a bit of a split push here, and it buys Luna just a very precious extra second. But if we're talking of precious seconds, there's only 20 left on the board. So whatever Cloud9 want to do, they've got to do it now. And this is a line versus a line, a 4 versus 2, as Sweet Black tries to go as far as possible to give the information to the one gun left standing. And now it is no longer. Giants, you finally find your thunderous foot.
I saw the attempt coming out there. I understood the plan was to get the Monty as far forward as possible, draw attention, draw fire from those playing inside of Cash so that you can have your planter come in behind you and plant in the default spot inside of CCTV. Unfortunately, the C4 was recovered, the one that initially got stuck on the rotation, recovered, thrown back out and lands right behind the Monty, who can't turn his back to his aggressors. and sadly stuck between a rock and a hard place, the hard place being highly explosive, and will find himself taken down. Good round from Giants. A lot of it built, though, I feel at least, on the aggression from Luna earlier on, giving them extra rise to think about their backs, not having enough hard breach to get through everything that was required. And more of a slip up by Cloud9 to at least give them something back into this game. That does put things at 2-1. Still an ideal attacking scenario, I think, for Cloud9, even if you see Giants come back and win every defensive round from here on out.
Yeah, obviously going in the 4-2 with the opener, the one shift I'd see there is, to be honest, the momentum. Giants, again, they're, you know, it's these little moments in these little rounds, like obviously what Luna did there, where I guess we've been kind of calling for that all day. Those sparks we know they're capable of, those little twists of the play where they can take out what C9's approach is, which is a slow, steady, meticulous, this is how we're burning things. It's what was working really well on their defenses on Oregon, to be fair, was the amount of time being played and wasted. They're combining that with a bit of aggression now, a bit of guns, and, well, these precious kills that come through from the end of those barrels, and I'm glad that they're being a little bit more claustrophobic with this hold. They're going all the way down and making sure that all of blue is locked off. They do not want to suffer the same fate they did last time.
There was the rush when you play into that kind of setup that works out well, or it's kind of the default response most people will say, oh, you're seeing an SSG roam, just rush forehead. It's as simple as that. Here in this case, with everyone playing on site, with the setup they've got, I can't imagine it is going to be so simple. Looking towards the Monty in that clash matchup once again. You guys having fun?
What?
You having fun?
Macarena.
And John.
Gio's doing the Macarena in the middle of the studio. No one else is.
Except you. You're joining it.
What? No proof. Wow, this is a dangerous game. Aim around the man that's aiming down. Ysera obviously has a great gun to do it with the ACOG, but there's pressure coming down from Dirt. There is a body slow rolling. Oh no, I just misread where the outline was as they were rotating past Dirt. Harper hasn't actually made their way through the end as of yet. All eyes are on the hatches, and the Maverick is burning through Moto. This is looking towards a slow and steady church take, if I ever did see one.
I mean, you still got your Monty playing on the top floor here, still chonking about as he does.
Just getting some fitness in.
He needs
getting some cardio.
He's a pretty big boy.
To be fair, like, talking about fitness, Medics and Milos have been like, yeah, we're going to the gym every night, and every night they're asking other people, and they haven't given up hope in us just yet, which is a rookie.
Admirable.
Rookie mistake, let's be honest, lads. The pressure's coming in onto Kitchen. They have the eyes and the angles, as I said. It looks like they want to do this standard collapse. There is no reinforcement done on that close wall that overlooks pipes from the back of Armory, which is always going to be a bit of a problem, but there's also nobody's there, and nothing to counter this. The hatch gets opened. They now have Moto and Kitchen done. Ysera's rotating the drone round to potentially be the big thorn in the side if they can time this right. But with a minute left, there's plenty of time for the attackers to work with. And Monty, the man mountain that he is, has shown up to try and cause some more problems in the kitchen.
They are slowly starting to adapt, it feels like, to the Monty. They're being a bit more passive about things, just kind of threatening him if he dares to try and step forward, and that's where Luna will no doubt weigh into things when they do eventually step forward towards the site. Hysterix finds one inside blue for free. Shile trying to push down there, as you would expect from a Zofia, but able to find nothing, and this plant is now going to go down, actually, in the very deep back of Armory, but the scraps are going on inside of the site itself. It's more a distraction game they're playing. Nova's going to get away with this and be able to step away. The problem is now you've got to have to deal with this clash staring you down, so it's all going to come down to what Sweet Black can get done.
The timing there, the shield and the clash was pitch perfect. And, well, Envy Taylor's still got the cover from above. A 3 versus 2, but with the vertical firmly locked and Nova doing Nova things and going supernova, well, it's the trade above that brings it to a 1 versus 1. Now it is the 1 versus 1. Now it is this situation where everything is to be played down long. And Luna out of this world.
You can make references to the moon, or you can just call him a lunatic for plays like that, bringing it back at the key time for his team just when they needed it. Only 6 seconds or so left there, a very fine error margin if they really wanted to stick by it. But it does give them some hope again that this map isn't lost yet, that even with those first 2 rounds going to the side of Cloud9, there is still something left in this for Giants.
Jim, bedroom, we see for the first time today. They're going to opt to obviously go here instead of a site that I'm sure, statistically, I'm sure Statman is watching somewhere in the studio going, leaning into the screen, leaning in, and I'm going to say, statistically, the least played site out of any of the comp maps that is on a map? Are you actually going to double check
surely.
that? Yeah. That's what. That's
It was played. We saw it played once, I swear.
Yeah.
And it was a loss.
What?
What a surprise!
You're telling me?
Stock and bar.
Hang on a second. Yeah, surely. I mean, I'm sure there's loads of other statisticians out there that can give it a better. But you know, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw it in a comp that I've casted. Obviously, it's been played across a couple of leagues. You said you saw it once. United, I believe, played it in NA as well once, and they lost it.
It requires some craziness. Very often, you'll bring a Monty and just go for a smoke plant inside of stock.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just don't really have any viability on that site. No one really plays it, hence why you see these same 3 sites being rotated pretty much all the time. Gym and bedroom coming up, and it's going to be, guess what, Fluke? An extended hold.
What? Crazy.
What a surprise. Lots of teams love doing this. You just aim to burn time. Often you'll reinforce both of the south walls, as you can see, leading in towards CCTV. And then you'll often reinforce the 3 that lead towards red. Now, those have been less soft, so need to be wary of any flanks coming up red, or at least commit 2 or 3 members from the defensive side of Giants to play out towards there. It's Dev. Hi, Dev. Charles, you've been on fire tonight. A huge factor in the unprecedented dominance from
You've got to read it in his
Cloud9.
voice.
You can do it better than me. Go for it.
Charles, you've been on fire tonight. A huge factor in this unprecedented dominance from Cloud9. Hashtag 6 major.
He doesn't sound that Aussie, though.
No, he doesn't.
He does. You know that he's Aussie. It's not fair to say he doesn't sound Aussie, but it's not like thick Aussie.
No. I'm just trying to do my audition so I can go cast with the Aussie boys down under one time.
Catch 6 Masters.
Okay, yeah.
It was fun, the game the other day. Wouldn't blame you.
Oh, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Join Raven and Guz and the boys.
Guz and the lads.
Guz and the lads.
Construction wall opened up, and now we're looking back towards CCTV. You got Asterix is actually playing inside of red, so I was fearful that because the wall wasn't reinforced, it'd be too easy for the side of Cloud9 to force someone up there and be able to take control of Cash, out towards the east. Not going to be a thing, as Hysterix is aiming to do what he can to hold for as long as he can. Still going to face off against the Monty, who's going to be able to walk inside and stare down, where he may have rotated away to, back through that hole in towards Cash. And again, a lack of droning can sometimes really sting you in the bum. MB Taylor finding a kill onto Hysterix.
Yeah, that was obviously one of those big moments where we've seen the play and the control of space. The pinch work has been so good, so consistently from Cloud9. They know where the players are, and they have just isolated them beyond anything else. Like a person locked in a room with nowhere to go, but out, unfortunately, via death. There's another one. Shayal finds Jordan. The death within the site does not bode well.
Where have we seen this before, though? A numbers advantage to one side and the other managing to drag it back. APAC is one of those regions that never disappoints. It can never be absolutely guaranteed, no matter the numerical advantage on either side, how it is going to conclude. However, Cloud9 with a very strong advantage in terms of the angles they've got. They've got construction, they've got the south windows, they've got someone playing up inside logistics. It was the Monty who's now backing away. Calls for support from Harper. Come and help me, friend. I have no gun of my own. And Harper goes, I'm happy to oblige. 2 kills swinging in. Luna, the last one left alive. This time the real Captain Glenn. But sadly, superpowers aren't part of his repertoire. Standing in the hallway, it's a flawless round for Cloud9, taking full charge of round number 5. There are those 3 rounds that we spoke about, Fluke.
Yeah, obviously looking at the 3-3 possible split here, they can now go back to CC, which was a 50-50 for them so far throughout this game. They lost it the first time round, took it the second, and it's their only real place to go now. And, well, if they find themselves on a 3-3, that is not good. They find themselves on the wrong end of a 4-2. Wow.
This is cruel, unjust punishment by Monty. Again, Giants should know how this feels because they've done it to so many teams this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's the factors, I guess, and obviously how much has been Cloud9 showing up really, really well today versus how Giants just haven't really seemed at their full strength. And you never really know how the pressures are working. We know they're a team that is well-historied and well-trodden. They've obviously gone through a big change of face over the past phase in the past season, and it's unfortunately not quite able to find its feet at the very, very end of the race. After running it so well, this final 50 meters has just seemed a little bit beyond them so far today.
I think it's the team just starting to glue together, as mentioned. It's only been, what, 4 or 5 months now that this team has been a complete unit on the side of Cloud9, and I imagine many at home, you'll be sitting in chat thinking, 4 or 5 months is a lot of time to build together. There's no excuse as to why they were middling in the season, why it wasn't as strong a end or a general performance as maybe you would come to expect, but I will always wager there is so much to learn in Siege. Communication tendencies, play styles, trying to find the fit, because changing 2 members in a team is going to completely transform the fabric of the team. Sure, you hold on to the same core 3, and it has taken time, but Shyle is stepping up big for them. And I kind of touched on it earlier on in the game against Guts on Consulate, that it was really an MV Taylor game running around the map doing crazy things. This series, I'd actually put some focus on towards other members on the team, Shyle absolutely being one of them.
MV Taylor now, looking to try and get the collapse here from the top floor. Again, for me, one of the best bits of the play from C9 has been how apt they are at just completely marooning any roam game, any possibility of a player by themselves, where it turns a 5 versus 5 into suddenly it's a 5 versus 1. Oh no, it's like a horror film when you hear your teammates screaming down the microphone as the alien rips them to shreds. This is the guns of C9 fulfilling that premise and promise. The pressure is coming onto this red central stairs now, and Luna is the one that may be facing the moored jaws of Cloud9.
He's the one playing on the roam here. This is one thing I fear for him, is how good Cloud9 have been today at pinching these roamers. When it's hysterics, they've always had someone set up to try and counter back against him unless he flees in rapid time. I think he kind of learned as the series went by that being fast is probably the key thing you can do, is to try and get away as fast as you can before they have time to set up this pinch. And if you can't find a kill inside 40 seconds or so, the site is calling for you. Abandon ship, abandon mission.
Steadily, Nova is going to use the distraction and start opening up construction. Logistics is now generally clear as well. Obviously, they're looking at a different way of taking this. They've done the big wall a couple times, and as the Valkyrie cameras reveal, nobody's home right now. It seems like Cloud9 want to shake things up, shake up the strategy, and try and take some surprise out of the wind of Giants. And I think that's a good option. Obviously, they lost the last one.
Patience for Saint, wow.
Yeah, and they lose this one too. Luna is struck and unfortunately taken by Shael.
That's another wonderful example of what we just spoke about. Cloud9's roamer control has been wonderful this series, and Giants aren't able to play the game they want to play. They can't deal with the pace of Cloud9 on site. They definitely couldn't deal with the Monty. They can't play the roam game to try and disrupt that because they're being controlled by Cloud9. This is a very different team to what we all thought we would see coming not only into this tournament, but based on the regular season performances, what we would see full stop across the rest of this year. Either way, 30 seconds remain. There's not a lot of time here to play with, and all 9 members, well, I'd say all 9 members across both sides are still alive. Luna, the only one who's missing.
Yeah, but it looks like they're about to be joined as the pressure starts to come in. This is how these teams have cooked. And though obviously we've said Giants have been underperforming, it in no way means they've been out of this throw. They're sticking the plant as close as possible, but this is beyond anything. A double kill comes through with Hysterics picking up the tail end of Shael. There's Wamai popping from the back, and there's MV Taylor, but unfortunately too little, too late.
Ooh. Small slip there by Cloud9, ignoring the fact that there was potentially going to be a player or two on the roam. It does give Giants something here, some solace that they can still do this. It is 3-3. We spoke earlier on and said this is the doomsday scenario. You don't want to be in a spot where you've lost 3 rounds on the defense. This is your home map. This is where you have shone the brightest throughout the season. And now it's more you are being illuminated by something else. Luna's name almost coming into light as C9 are the ones who have looked the strongest. They go into the defense. A map we have not seen them play. A map we have not seen them defend. This is all new for us as it is for Giants.
I think one of the things to take away from this as well, which is one of those statistics that hangs over the head of the desk as much as it hangs over the head of the players. 1 attacking round so far over 2 maps. And these weren't quick maps, obviously. It was 2 7-4s. There was a fair chunk on both sides, and they've still only been able to pull 1 attacking round. That's a devastating statistic to have as you go into this situation.
Real Siege Sports might be looking to tune into the first upset finals of the APAC Majors, and I'm glad to tune into this however late it may be. It's all incredibly entertaining. It is. We always speak about the air quotes underdog stories, and I think although it's unfair to maybe call Cloud9 coming into this underdogs, based on stats, I think it is pretty fair. Again, we said the 9-1 result for Giants in the main season, losing to Xavier in week number 9, I believe it was, or week 5. 2 play days a week. Wasn't a pretty situation for Cloud9 when it came down to the stat sheets, but today have surprised everyone. We're going to see Giants bringing out what they are known for. Luna going across to that Monty. This is their bread and butter. This is their staple. If this round goes the way of Cloud9, if they can't execute properly and can't deal with the play coming out of C9, you can almost call the series now.
Dropping in from on top. Jordan is making sure they have the clear. So far, they've had an okay map, but it's going to take more than okay to shake the feeling of we've only got one attack. Again, it looms like an overbearing presence, and they've got to try and make that presence fall over C9 and fall over their defense. C4s are waiting and baiting, and Sweet Black's going to feed that intel back towards the rest of the team. They have, obviously, a lot of capabilities. Harper playing a little bit off the piece here. The Kaid on the other side of the hatch, you'd usually find them, and is going to potentially get the opener against Ysera. We saw a little bit of droning. Unfortunately, it was just a lot too short.
Oh, but you've already taken 60 seconds as well, haven't even cleared the top floor, and now you've got a Kaid to worry about potentially. Man, the droning all day has been what's kind of led to a lot of these opening kills going one way or the other. I'm not sure where the calls are coming through, but the one thing they can do here is exactly what the Monty's doing. They can pinch him. He's stuck upstairs. There's no hatch to drop through. He is isolated now all the way back inside a strip, and this is the big thing I worry about. How much time are they going to spend investing in trying to kill him?
Luna has the diffuser as well, so if this goes wrong, that's the diffuser called in strip, way off course. Finally finds some support, but now there's a minute 20. Think of how much that off-the-piste Kaid just took. Out of the wind and out of the sails. Luna, so low health, you've got a Lesion and a smoke left to go through. There's still the potential of this aggression coming from underneath. Shayal goes off the board to Speakeasy, but the hatches are still intact. They have to drop via blue, which is what they're going to do, and apply the pressure from Oil Pit. They have a long range and a lot of ground left to cover, but Envy Taylor's going to hand them a free one.
Hysterics catching Envy on the roam. Well, not really on the roam, but more holding off-site in the perimeter rooms, as we call them, inside a blue. That's massive because it's a 4 versus 2, and a Monty is left alive. They have the vertical control. There are no C4s left on the side of C9. This is going to be a miracle for them to close this round out. We spoke around the proficiency of Giants on this site, how they should be able to do things with this Monty. Nova finds one. It does still leave him in a numbers advantage on the side of Giants, but all the work is still to do. 20 seconds to go.
Nova suffers, and Monty is just pushing and applying the pressure. They go in close, and they do a massive sweep against the isolated Monty. A 2 versus 1. Everything was in the favor of Giants.
No way.
And we go from a Monty being a bully to suddenly meeting their older brother.
This round will go down in Gig's book as the one to look and learn at. A 4 versus 2, you have all the control in the world, and you run blind into 2 members of Cloud9 who bring it down to a 2 versus 2, find the last man or the penultimate man left alive, and it's only the Monty stood behind the shield asking, guys, 10 seconds ago, there were 4 of us. Why is there now only 1? Massive round to give away, and I said at the start of it, if Cloud9 win that round, I say the series is done. I'll call it here and say, in my mind, Cloud9 should not be able to lose this.
Gym Bedroom, a site that we've only seen once today so far. They're going to opt for it on their second. Not take CCTV, the more common pick for a lot of teams, as they want to try and flex some control over a site that, to be fair, in the hands of Giants, looked, well, pretty poor. It wasn't anything that they had some of the comfort they had on their other sites throughout their defensive round wins. And Cloud9 want to try and assert some double-down dominance after what happened previously there to, well, where else they can go from here.
They just got to keep on playing the same game, Fluke. Nothing needs to change for Cloud9 after seeing that last round. Admittedly, the start of it, yes, they lost 3 members. A bit of a wild roam coming out of the Kaid, not the sort of thing that we're used to seeing or would even expect to see. And they do waste a lot of time. It does force Giants to have to rush a little bit. They haven't got time to take pause and drone things out. So actually, I retract my previous statement. There are a few things to change for Cloud9. Bleeding members that early, absolutely not ideal. Still going to see the Monty coming out from Luna. They are really hell-bent on making this work. Don't want to change plans just yet. But different sites call for different tactics. It calls for different areas of focus. And I want to see real quickly, actually, Medics, are they holding out towards CCTV with an extension? They are. So all these walls being reinforced up, similar sort of setup to what we saw coming out of Giants on the defensive side. Still got to worry about getting this wall open. It's muted at the minute, so let's get that Maverick busy, I'd say.
Yeah, he's able to burn through. They know exactly what they want to drop and how they can do it. Look at Shayal, though, on the roam, coming round to double up with Harper. Speakeasy's on the far side, going to take control of Garage and open up a spread firefight with MV Taylor. Going to be the one that they try to meet, holding close in proximity towards the lounge area and waiting for this entrance of Amonte, who was, to be fair, brilliant up until the moment it mattered.
He did do a lot of work for them, but that's the weakness you'll always face. Unless it's a 1 versus 1, you are more likely than not going to going to lose fights where others can trade against you, and that was the case in the final round just a second ago. Electrified wall leading in towards Cash does mean this is going to be a real pinch, and look how many members of Cloud9 are lurking here on the extension. 3 of them all together being sprayed through the drone hole, not taken down. In fact, only about 15 HP removed from him, so not the end of the world, but a small reminder that there are indeed a good number of players hanging around you, all looking and praying for your downfall.
They're looking to have an inter-drone hole fight here from out on the balcony through to Harper, rolling around on the floor, and Monty's at least been able to get past that difficulty. But one false step forward and there's a goo mine in his foot. One step back as we hear pop off and it would have been Harper. But Shayal's actually just going to rotate away. Monty is going to push a little bit aggressively forward now. It was actually shot out by them. We had the goo mine pop off somewhere else and in someone else's foot. Oh, there it goes. And there goes another one. It seems like the push is being harpered and hampered by Harper himself. Speakeasy is able to stop the stem before it becomes too much of an artery killer. And now it is a 4 versus 4 with Ysera steadily working away on Jacuzzi.
Some good work in terms of timing, mind you. 2 minutes expended in this extended hold is now going to give Giants access to construction. But just like in the last round, even though they had a 4 versus 2, the time was not in their favor. It's almost setting up to be the same again. A 4 versus 3 with 45 seconds to go, and Giants with a +1 number advantage on their side in terms of operators.
With this 40 seconds being the big make or break here, Monty has to do the work we know they're capable of. Ysera finds Sweet Black and Nova finds Monty. The big worry and the big risk is how much they are being shepherded around.
Ooh.
And well,
time to get bullied.
Yeah, it's looking worse than it did before. They fire bullets in a kind of wanton fashion, but unfortunately they're left wanting, as Luna is able to do what they couldn't quite do last round.
Trading back and forth consistently between the two teams here as well. Heaven knows how the rest should play out. I'll still stick by me saying that Cloud9 ultimately, I think, can take this away. However, the last 2 rounds have gone in a very similar, or ended in a similar fashion, where it's come down to a numbers advantage for the side of Giants, catching up members of Cloud9 who are rotating back to site later on, and then pressing with the advantage they've got. Last round they threw it away. This one, much better and more control, but Cloud9 didn't help matters by having both players inside of the hallway.
One of the things to look at, obviously, throughout this game is how the opening kills have shaped. For before, in the very first map, we said it was quite even. Back and forth between the two teams, if even Giants getting more of them. Here, I believe Giants have only gotten 1 out of the opening kills throughout every single round so far. They are still keeping pace. Sure, it's a 4 versus 4, and that attack round, well, it went the way you expected the one just before to go. They locked it out with some great Monty plays. It gives you hope. Not only because they had 2 good rounds in a row, one unfortunately fizzling out, but because they finally found their second attacking round win today on the 3rd map since, the very first round of the day. That is how long it has been since they've been able to capitalize upon the skill we know they're capable of. Can they now get behind this? Get behind the skill of Luna on the Monty and get behind what the Giants can do.
5 seconds to insertion.
Hopefully it works out to be like a poor bus schedule where you see none for an hour and then 2 come along at once, because 2 attacking round wins here will inspire Giants, give them a lot of confidence, because no doubt they are aware of what you've just said. They're aware that their attacking record today has been atrocious, only 2 on the board so far. Best place to really shape up is always going to be on your home map with a Monty in hand, no less. For the side of Giants, taking things slightly peacefully to kick it off, focusing out towards the west side, getting rid of the defaults, making sure they've got the flank drone set up so no one can come and surprise them horrifically later into the round. Because after all, we already know and have seen what Cloud9 can do on the roam and how much damage they can wreak upon this Giants lineup.
One of the things I do quite hope for from the hands of Giants now is that they've got a very aggressive style with the Monty on this map. They haven't had the similarities across the previous 2 maps. if it might shift their play, if it might shift their confidence and their momentum to be like, we play this aggro, let's get behind that. That could really turn force if they do end up taking this map into the next, is we've played this aggro game. We've succeeded at it. We know what we're good at. We just need to double down on it. Hysterics obviously getting the opener against Envy Taylor is a good kick into gear for them. But, well, with a minute 50, there's still a huge amount left to do, and the Maverick is going to start doing it.
I love how Hysterics is dropped onto Thermite duty once Luna's playing Monty. It's like the last operation in the world I'd ever expect to see Hysterics on, given how he likes to be aggressive. Actually got told by History, one of the staff members over at Giants, that when in the last map we called it the Hysterics Special, the being at windows and at doorways. Apparently that's what he calls it in scrims and in games as well.
Well, I don't know what Nova calls that, but I'd call that filthy. Jordan goes down and out, and, well, that's a buck off the board, which is a pretty big loss if you can get in and underneath this site. Cause some problems, whether they're holding hard walls or you just want to force them into the eyes of the walls already opened. Either way, it's a big bit of utility off the board. They're looking towards the pressure that's coming from the garage walls now. There is a little bit of a burn going through, and a couple of bullets too, but nothing catches, and Shyal is looking to do something aggro here. But unfortunately, with the death of Nova, they don't quite have the confidence they had momentarily ago.
Thought he might have seen them for a second, but no, Hysterics taking control of the round. Once again, Fragmite steps in, finding a couple in this round. One of the last operators you really expect to shine this brightly, but my word is he's shining. Now we control a garage and CCTV out towards the east. This should be as simple as pie. Easy ability to step in, get behind the servers, get a plant down the default spot, and go from there. But I spoke about this earlier on the flank drones. Maybe haven't caught him out. There we go. Shiles strikes big against Ysera, and now they must know in the back there is a bit of a risk. It's Harper with a knife killer, 1 versus 2. Shile got it all to do from inside a garage. The repeat comes in. Speakeasy are going to finish that one off, and Giants taking another round and forcing themselves and saying this does not end in 3 maps. There is still more to come.
Fingers crossed, I think, across the board here. 5-4. Currently, that's the most rounds they've been able to take at all throughout this day, and they've tripled the attack rounds. They've been able to take 2, getting 2 on the trot. Church and Arsenal, we head to next. And, well, this could have been another that they got. Obviously, what happened. It's in the past. You hope in the hands of Giants. But with the momentum of 2 round wins under their belt, with the idea that they can take this, they just have to lock off that final end, that final part of the push. Hey, let's make it happen on Church. Let's put yourself on match point for the first time today.
Dare I say, Hap is beginning to look like he might end up being right. Overtime could be creeping in for this map. If it goes to that point of being 6-6, I see a world in which it happens based on what sites we go to. I guess the greatest fear for me is that Cloud9 now, having played both on Gym and Bedroom and on CCTV, and having lost both, this downstairs site is the only time they have looked successful. So that pulls you up to 5-5 if they can repeat it, sure. How do you then balance it out otherwise? Where are you going to find those extra round wins from? Because I hate to say it again, but the last 3 rounds have all played out the same way as the last couple did. The final one going the same direction. Numbers advantage to Giants, picking up the kills they need. The flank a little bit late coming out of the side of C9. So Giants are being allowed to play their game here. Cloud9 giving them a little bit too much space, in my opinion. Need to see more aggression coming through.
Giants, you have been able to mount a precipice that was otherwise insurmountable before. I want to see more, though. I want to see more of what we know you're capable of. Here comes, hopefully, some aggression. Here comes, potentially, a pinch very early against the Pulse, who does a hop over that I think he did not expect, and I can only imagine the comms involved a little bit of screaming there. Still alive, Sweet Black, sure. And you still have a C4 in pocket, but maybe check to see how much else you've lost from that.
Small shriek was the part of the comms. He's down to about 1/3 of his HP, but the wonderful thing about the Pulse, you don't have to be involved in direct gunfights to be useful. This cardiac sensor should be able to catch out everything that's going on above him, or indeed inside a kitchen. And as long as he can feed that information back to the rest of his team, they're not in a bad spot. I believe he still has a C4. I think Harper just used his. Indeed he did. So still 1 left on side for use when they do come to try and push kitchen. But as we saw from Giants previously, they abandoned any hope of taking kitchen or the main stairs and put all of their energy, all of their time, all of their efforts into blue.
Now with eyes in and drones steadily working, Giants are making sure that they're not taken by the surprise. As you saw and said before, the roam game that almost completely flipped the previous round on its head was just caught out by some great shooting over the shoulder. They're going to make sure that that is at least tightened and neatened. A pre-fire goes up against a man who doesn't take anything as it pings helplessly off of the metal beams and bars that separate the two floors. And well, with a minute 20, they've pushed and shepherded everyone down here. Now they've just got to do the hard part of actually finding and killing them.
Turning into a bit of a horror game for Charles. Can no doubt hear all the footsteps around him. Obviously not quite anticipating the spray. Did he really get caught from that? Must have been a flick up afterwards to start spraying through into Church instead. One down on either side, 60 seconds remaining. Luna starting to push through the same spot we did last time. Cloud9 should know to expect this. They saw it the last time we were down inside the basement. Harper assuming the position where Shyle once stood.
Well, the smoke canisters are going to stop any intense immediacy from the blue staircase, and well, now it's just seeing if they can steadily and slowly make their way through. You can see the drone up on the electrical box in the corner, and Envy Taylor can watch from the floor as they actually buy some time and a few seconds for them to desperately get up the Legion. This is a big help, as obviously if you need anything to try and stop that push, well, Legion's a good pick. Unfortunately, so is Harper. Apparently, Speakeasy gets one more. Nova aggressively pushing up to try and counter against Jordan, but Luna's in the site and can very quickly separate the two. Nova has to go aggro one way or the other. And unfortunately, they might not know how close they are. No! Shut down! The anvil is literal and physical behind them. And now it is just one left. Envy Taylor. Well, they know where he is. They know what he's trying to do. And unfortunately, they know how to stop him doing it. Giants, map point.
Reminding everyone of why they are the Monty team here in APAC. Excellent aggression coming out of Luna. The fact that he was allowed to charge through Armory, mind you, and close off the smoke essentially really made it difficult though. He is forcing himself where he wants to be, either to clear the roamers like the Kite earlier on, whether it's pushing his way across the site and into dirt to assist the push coming in from that side. He's being given a lot of room, and it's almost like Cloud9 just don't know how to deal with the Monty here. Giants had a much better idea back in the first half, I thought, on how to respond to it, given they play it so much. C9 just left wanting, left scratching their heads and asking, how do we deal with this hulking mass of metal? How do we stop him just running us down? Because right now, they quite simply don't know, Fluke.
Well, there's an adaptation that might have some success. Clash is being picked up by the hands of Sweet Black. They've realized, I guess, that the push isn't coming as a kind of vertical control hold. It seems like Giants assert a position. They assert a place and say, this is where we're going to try and take it from. Let's get behind the Monty and make it happen. Yeah, sure, I'm not saying everybody's behind them, but there is an obvious blunt force that seems to be the lead-in for them. And then from this point onwards, well, it just forces Cloud9 out of the way, pushes them as if they were nothing. Well, Clash is not nothing. Clash is sturdy, strong, and is able to try and stop any of this getting close.
Quite a flimsy shield, mind you. You punch it, and most people will then just spray for the feet. Although it reminds me back to that round on Villa when the spray did come through. Normally it would be a spot where you can shoot at the feet as she's spinning around. But obviously with a massive, well, bar in the way, you just quite simply can't shoot the feet. So it was as safe as could be for the Clash back in that case. We'll see if it plays out the same again here. But at least for Sweet Black, it's the option to slow Luna down, to zap him out slowly, drain his life force, as Envy Taylor will be doing with those goo mines. That should give them a bit more capability to deal with the aggression of Luna.
Speakeasy is going to try and get control of Garage sooner rather than later. The drones are working, and Jordan's already on the top floor of Logistics 2, cracking open the angles. And you can see the bodies of C9 actually moving closer and further back to site. That was a revenge. They attempted it last time. This time it came true. Envy Taylor shuts down Jordan, gets rid of the buck, and makes a lot of the verticality much more solid. But as I said before, it's the Monty that leads their push, the Monty that causes the most trouble, as much trouble as Thermite's wrist did there. But at the same time, he's not got time to get it checked out. He's busy trying to blow the roof out above the Clash.
We'll be able to get it open, which should probably force Sweet Black to play a little more defensively, either hugging in behind Generator or looking to pull back into sight. You're in a spot there where grenades can sing down from above. Is holding inside a sight loosely. You've even got Charles actually holding up behind a shield in the south side of it. So this blue hold, they know that's where Giants are putting focus round after round and think now is the time. Commit more utility there. Force them back even further and don't give them an inch, because they will take a mile if you dare even try.
Well, they're going to try and double down and put pressure onto Moto. You can see Luna's going for the rotation too. If they can get in and get down, that means they can kind of lock off the door. The flashes are going to stop anyone instantly swinging onto the body that gets close, but nobody is that intense. They're waiting by the looks of it, trying to learn where the push is coming from directly and trying to make sure they don't get caught by surprise. A lot of eyes on blue, but as we can see, the big boy's actually on the long corridor now. It's a change of pace from Giants, and it's a welcome one in terms of any Giants fans in chat. They're looking to kind of keep the pressure hot, but from a different angle. This is what I expected from the Clash, and there's the combination of utility they've done so well before. Slow the Monty in the situation where they might be caught, but an unbelievable frag grenade goes over the top and blows Nova out the bottom.
That was, I'm sure, fully intended to try and catch out onto the Clash there, or at least force her back a little bit, but holding just too close, and Nova... Oh, the smoke being gone. I'm pretty sure he'd use most of those smoke canisters and trying to force Luna back. He's down to about a third of his HP, by the way, so clearly these stall tactics are working, but unless Monty is dead, he is still infinitely valuable. Harper finding one, Charles a second. It's a 4 versus 2 for what feels like the first time in a long time. Cloud9 have got the numbers advantage, but it's being ripped back away from them by the Giants. It's into a 3 versus 1. Envy stepping up all by himself against Luna. What can Luna do here? Stuck inside a Moto, no time to go. Diffuser is down. I feel he is done here. Zapped to death by the Clash. Cloud9 take a round, and though yes, it is map point. Cloud9 are not lying over to die. Hap is so close to being right. Overtime is on the way.
The only place they've been able to find so far has been on Church. I think that's the big worry right now for Cloud9 is their holds on the other stories. Jim definitely did not look strong in any case, and I'm glad that they're not opting to go back there. Whether it was just to try and throw something off, you've only got 1 round left before everything resets anyway for overtime, or you lose. So take CC. Take a site where you actually had some chance. It still wasn't obviously anywhere in their favor. The Monty was the big cause of that, but I think the Clash was a lesson that, well, was kind of well learnt there. Actually opting for it instead of the smoke here. Not sure what otherwise the change was, but it's the burn of utility that seems to be the cost there. Doubling up with the Wamai and the Jaeger for the first time in a while, I believe, and that is going to allow them just that ability to catch those errant frag grenades. They still obviously need MV Taylor to play the Kaid role. They need the Legion as well to stop Monty, because you're playing against that Monty right now. Entirely, you are playing against that Monty. The rest is just hoping things work your way.
Both 6 picking backing these Shields operators once more. The Capitao initially being selected out and being swapped away. On the other side, as you mentioned, it was the smoke. So likely going to see some kind of familiarity between the other side of it. Q menu, I love watching the Major. The caster always gets really involved, and I love it. The players show off everything they have worked on, and it is epic. They do show off an awful lot of what they've worked for. And this is the thing, although we make jokes on desks and say things like, $25,000 for a day of Siege ain't bad, you'd forget the months of preparation and no doubt heartbreak that comes into some of the games that you have when you've worked so hard for something like this. And then it just starts slipping away in the dying seconds. And although Giants have had a bit of a rally here, no doubt the fact that Cloud9 have that last round now has got them in a bit of despair again. And in this game, I think motivation is so critical. If you are feeling demotivated, you are going to communicate less, and a single call missing from an entire round can be that one small mistake that we keep on speaking about that can cost you rounds.
Talking of Envy Taylor off the board, Hysterics knew the window they were playing at and weren't going to play that game. Shut them down almost instantly now, and that is such a big boon for them to have. Clash getting aggro, not even letting Monty begin to enter the door, but obviously the Jaeger of Shyle not too far away and a second body joining them above. Well, that's just a big bit of support. Harper dropped a drone and then looks towards the Maverick, doing Maverick things, with Hysterics wanting to be able to blow this wall. They haven't found the Kaid Claw as of yet, and a misthrown flash is going to cost them a couple of seconds.
I was so confused, like, why is the flash being thrown back through the hole?
How did they do that?
New utility. Wall being opened up inside about 75 seconds, making good progress, and a rush comes in as well. Here they go, exploding onto the site. One gets brought down, a second one flies in. Giants staking everything in a catch-all round here, and they have done it. Shyle, the last one left alive. They cover the diffuser, and like that, Giants. Wow. That's aggression I have not seen out of them in a long time. That's the C9 rush that we saw back from on Oregon, but it's enough to give them the round. That was an all-or-nothing Hail Mary, and my God, are they thankful that paid off.
Yeah, and you call for aggression from Giants. It's what we've wanted from them all day. I'm sure their coach gig was the same, as with the players and the fans. What a perfect way to put a full stop on a map where they started to look like them. Being able to take 4 of their attacking rounds on a map like Cloud9